Have you ever wondered how I managed to move from finance into a completely different career and life as I've become a coach, podcaster, and yoga instructor? Well, this episode will give you a little bit of a glimpse into how I managed to make that happen. Hi, I'm Jessica Hwang, and this is Permission to Flow. And in this episode, I have the pleasure of talking with my mom. And I will say that my mom has been kind of this unwavering support for me through my huge life change. And in this episode, we talk a lot about big life changes. We talk about my family's immigrant journey, my mom as a survivor of 9/11, and how it's been for her in terms of supporting me as I've changed my career. So lots of big life changes going on. And the thing that I want to highlight about this episode is the power of communication. What you'll see is that in many ways, these are topics that my mom and I have never really talked about before, and you're getting to see how we definitely did not know what the other person's perspective was on certain things. And yet, being able to talk about it and communicate made us kind of understand each other a little bit better and see things from the other person's perspective. So there is so much power in communication. I feel incredibly fortunate to have my mom as this unwavering support for me. And also that it's okay if your parents don't get it. But I hope that watching this can help you kind of see how communication can help and maybe work through those dynamics a little bit better. And also the importance of kind of having someone in your corner. I feel like while my mom is like one piece of the puzzle, I am very fortunate in having built up a support system that really helped me navigate making big life changes. And I hope that you can create that for yourself as well. Now, without further ado, here is my conversation with my mom. Welcome to this episode of Permission to Flow. I'm your host, Jessica Hwang, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, my mom, Amy Hwang. And we're not in our usual setup. Today we are in Portland, Oregon, which is where my family lives. And to be clear, I did not grow up in Oregon. I actually grew up in New Jersey, but my whole family moved out here. So I've been spending the last week and a half celebrating Thanksgiving and spending some time with them. And today we are in my mom's house. And let me tell you, my mom and I just spent a great deal of time trying to get this set up because I have spent so much time figuring out the setup in my apartment, and we had to kind of finagle our way into this setup. So if you're watching this on YouTube, this was very much my mom concocting finagling some things to make this work. We had to move her plants over. We had to tape up we literally hung up things to block out the light over here. We had to move a lamp over here. It's been like a whole endeavor, but we made it work.
We did.
Yeah. And I just bought new microphones, so hopefully this sounds good, but we're just gonna pray for the best and hope that it all works out. But we're here, we're good. And so I have been wanting to interview my mom for a while, but I feel like now is the perfect time to do it. Really it is that my mom has been really my number one supporter, my number one investor in my business, in this podcast, in absolutely everything that I do. And I wanted to highlight that, talk a little bit about kind of what that has looked like what our relationship has been like how that has shifted and transformed, and really have her talk about what it's been like supporting a kid who's kind of veering off course from what I think she originally had in mind for me. So being able to talk through a little bit about that and talk about her own experience. So that's really why I wanted to have my mom on the show. Because I just felt like getting her perspective. It's I can talk all day long about my side of things, but I think it's interesting because we all have such different dynamic with our family, and you're just going to see our version of that. But I think that being able to have more of an open dialogue about what it's been like for us going through this whole process and what it's been like for us kind of navigating just this big life change on my part, and her like being able to support me through that. I think it's just good perspective, and I hope that you watching this can benefit from us being able to talk about it. So that's why we're here. So you want to say hello, Mom?
Hi, I'm Jessica's mom. The mom.
Also known as Mama Hwang by my friends. That is how my friends refer to you all the time. They're like, "How's Mama Hwang doing?" Yeah. So that's what we're gonna get into today. But yeah, so Mom, I wanted to start this off as I start off all of my interviews, which is talking a little bit about purpose. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about what does purpose and being in purpose or acting with your purpose mean to you?
Well, purpose to me is a way how you set your goal, and you plan a way you can reach that goal. Because you need to have a purpose to be able to really get to what you really want to do. Otherwise, you can just get lost in daily life and not knowing why are you still doing things.
And what do you feel like purpose has meant for you in terms of like guiding you with your life?
Well, without purpose, I will not be sitting here, and you will not be here.
Say more.
And it just make I think everyone need to have a purpose, because without you, you'll really be really wondering, and you get miserable because you don't know what you're doing. So it's important, you need to sit down and find what you really want to do and what is the purpose that you want to do. And then you can find a way to make it happen.
Okay, so you speak a lot about like having direction, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to go back, we've been having these conversations recently about like kind of the immigrant experience. And do you feel like that came from purpose? Was that like a very purpose-driven decision to
I
move
would
to this
think so.
country?
Yeah, we always have this thoughts. Like when you grow up, you want to do something, you want to be successful. And to come over here to immigrant here, it's one way like it. There's always seems like a lot of opportunities here. And you want to, when you're ready, you will want to try it at least to see, if hopefully you can make it happen.
I'm curious, do you feel like, because I feel like you immigrated here in, what was it, 1979?
74,
70.
75.
75.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was there. I don't know. It's interesting because like America is built on immigration, right? Like there's everyone essentially, by and large,
From
the
everywhere.
vast majority of people in this country are immigrants
Right.
at some point in time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, very true.
Do you feel like you have fulfilled kind of that American dream that you set out for?
I would think so. Yes, by working hard.
Yeah.
Because it really depends on what is your dream, how big is your dream, the American dream.
So how have you defined that American dream for you?
Become really a part of the society, get involved with everything, and also contribute, give some contribution to the society.
Okay. So do you feel like that in essence has been kind of in line with your purpose?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and Daddy had me and my brother after you got here.
Yes.
What was your vision for me and my brother?
So you are healthy and have everything you need to become a really a good citizen of the country, and have a happy life here.
You were about to say something about my grandfather.
I would say your grandfather gave your brother his name, which means to rule the world with kindness. And then when you were born, your grandfather already passed away. So I gave you your name. The meaning of your name is to make the world a better place, which I think that's become your purpose too.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You told me that, I think, again, like last year, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And to give some background, like our family originally came from China to Taiwan when you
Right.
were an infant.
Yes.
Can you tell them the story about Ye?
Oh, my
Gong Gong.
father. My
Yeah.
father. Well, my father was a Air Force pilot, and he was in the war against the Japanese invasion, and he actually was shut down when he was Air Force pilot, so got shut down during a mission, and luckily he survived. And when we came, had to when the communists took over the country, we actually my father was a pilot of the plane. Our family moved to Taiwan.
I always think that's such a cool story.
Of course, I wouldn't remember it. I was just a baby.
Yeah. And so when you came to the US, do you feel like it was because, like, what was your thought process? Like, I know what you said around your children and everything, but do you feel like that was the focus? Because how old were you then?
I was 26-year-old when I came over. For me, it's always like you're always looking forward to all the opportunities this country can offer you. So you work hard and try to figure out what you should do for financially and also what you can enjoy.
Okay, so it was mostly like a financial decision, do you feel like?
In more, and then whatever you can manage to do, you
Okay,
can
so
do.
it's
Yeah.
really playing into the whole like America's the land of opportunity.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Especially your father. When he came over here, he couldn't find a job because that was the time the economy was really bad. So he started working in a dollar store as a clerk. I don't know if you
I
know
do
this
know
story. Yeah.
this. Yeah.
And he worked there for a while before. Then he went back to school to graduate school, and eventually got his master. Then finally, had a very good job from then.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then when you got here, you were able to get your job at Port Authority right away, or how hard was that for you?
I worked in a private company for a while, and then when there's the opportunity, I got to got a job over there. That's how I started out. Yeah, and I stayed there for 30 years, over 30 years,
Right.
and moving from the rank, low rank, all the way up
Yeah.
to
And
yeah.
Daddy would tell me about how when you first moved into New York, you were living in like a roach infested apartment.
Yes,
Was it as bad as he made it out to be?
it was a really old building, and even we live on the fourth floor, and we had to walk up, and the staircase was really narrow, and it was like a wooden staircases. So, but we managed.
So,
So we make sure we provide food, and everything we need to provide the environment, good environment to grow up. So that means have moved to a good school district, so I get good education. And we're very, very fortunate and very lucky. We had very, very good family taking care of you where we are working. We're working.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been thinking back a lot to when I was like a little kid, and you and Dad worked really, really hard. And I was like, and I think even though I was little, I knew that because you were gone all day.
Oh yeah,
Like you and dad left at
we work a long hours.
6:30,
Yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning, and you both had long commutes. And then you wouldn't come home until
7. Yeah.
7:30 at night. And thank God we had our next door neighbors who were Aaron and my babysitter taking care of us during the day. But my mentality was you go out, you work long hours, like you work really hard. Like that was kind of the model that you and dad kind of demonstrated to me when I was growing up.
However, whenever we are back home, we put a lot of focus on both of you,
Yeah.
making sure you've done everything correctly. You will not, we still pay very much attention to what you and your brother.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting because for me, I felt like I had like two families and two ways of growing up.
Yeah, I always say you have two mothers,
I
remember?
did. I did. Yeah. I mean, Mimi took care of me all throughout the day, and then you and Daddy would take care of me when I got home
Yep, and the weekends.
and on the weekends. But it was interesting because they're like kind of more I don't know, regular American family.
Yes.
And then I would come home and be part of this immigrant family. So it was interesting because it was almost like I got to see
Both sides.
both sides.
Yes.
And I used to eat 2 dinners every day because I would eat with them a little bit and then we would go and eat afterwards.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, so I had this image of this like hard working immigrant household instilled in me of like you and dad. And something that I just want to mention is that you used to work in the World Trade Center.
Yes.
And you were there through both the 1993 bombing and 9/11, although you weren't physically there. Can you just briefly tell that story? Because I will tell you my side is like I remember you coming home in the 93 bombing afterwards and you were covered in soot.
Yes. Yeah, because I had to walk down from the building.
What floor were you on?
I was on, if I remember right, I was on
Was it the 64th?
64th floor.
So you
yes.
had to walk down 64 flights
In
of
the dark.
stairs in the dark.
Yeah.
Because there were no emergency lights at the time.
No.
And got out of the building and covered in soot. And then came home.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
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 And then you had like a really miraculous story in 9/11. You weren't there.
I was not there. I got lucky. I don't know what that means because the weekend before 9/11, my car broke down. I had to take it to the dealership to have it fixed. And that morning, 9/11 morning, was the morning I went to pick up my car. Because of that, I went to work late.
Right. And so you only made it as far as Hoboken.
Right. Yeah.
When everything was going down. And then you went outside and saw the buildings collapse.
Yes. I saw the building burning with smokes and all that. And there was a lot of people. I couldn't even go in because the train service actually already was stopped. So a lot of people got off train like me. They were going into Manhattan. So we stood at the side of the street looking up at the building and saw the smoke coming out and see there's some actions, helicopters over it. And then as I was turning around to move, I actually saw one of the buildings collapsed right in front of my eyes. It's just like things that is unimaginable. And that happened. And my heart was like a drop. That was horrible. But even that, during the time when I was watching, since I was in the 93 bombing, in my heart was screaming out, like saying, please, everybody, run, just run out of the building. Don't wait, just get out. You through the first experience, I knew how it would be like.
Yeah.
You don't want to get trapped in the building.
Right. Because how many hours did it take you to get out in 93?
Maybe 3 or 4 hours because we had to stop in the middle and stay in one of the floor until people came to say you could leave now.
Wow.
But we'll have a whole group of people, we stay together.
Yeah.
But compared to the 9/11, that was much smaller scale because it was just a bomb at the basement of the building.
Right. And you had that time, that
Right.
luxury of
Yes.
time in that moment.
But not 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw that building fell.
I remember you telling me that the people that you knew from your office who were in who were there in 93, like they all survived because they left immediately.
Yes. Yes.
And it was other people that
There was a group of people, they weren't there. Their office was in a different location, and they moved back to work to the World Trade Center. There was a group, they were just there waiting and waiting until last minute when they decided to leave. And the building collapsed while they were descending. It was horrible, horrible. Some of my very dear friends were in there.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mama.
Yeah, it was hard. And I feel extremely lucky, and also have a sense, it's probably not my time to go yet. I still have work I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that event kind of affected you? Do you feel like it changed your perspective on life?
Yes. You would know what's really important to you.
It's interesting because my memory of that time, mind you,
You were in the middle school.
I was in middle school at the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like my impression was that you were this kind of emblem of resilience.
Thank you. I don't think I'm that strong.
Yeah, but I don't know, because it's interesting because we've been talking about this, Mon, like yesterday.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't share a lot of your emotions, and you're kind of like you're an ox in Chinese zodiac.
Right.
Like you're kind of like the strong, steady, just keep going kind of like type of person. But my memory of that time is that, 9/11 happened and then like you just kept going. Do you feel like that was what it was like, or do you feel like it really impacted you and caused you, did you feel like you needed to slow down or anything like that?
Not really slow down. You just have to pick up the pieces and keep going. And do what you could do.
Interesting. Yeah, because it almost seemed like it didn't affect you.
That's how you feel?
To me, as your daughter.
Yeah.
But it did affect you.
Yeah, because you were still young,
Yeah.
I need to be there for you and for your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it put more focus on taking care of us, or like what did it kind of show you was most important?
Life is not permanent. So, things could happen. It can change so fast.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Mama. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. So I feel like with me and Aaron, you were guiding us towards like strong, steady careers. My brother is an engineer. I ended up in finance. And I predominantly feel like you kind of guided me in that direction.
Well, remember when we ask for you, both of you, is like have good grades, right? Study hard, that's what you do in school. Be a good student. So it's like building a foundation for you. So for for later, and it will make your life easier. So my goal is basically, be focused on when you're growing up. That's what you need to put emphasis on in your life. Not not like nowadays, oh, internet. We didn't have internet then. All right. Basically, you have books to read, maybe some games to play, like a Nintendo type thing. You don't have all those other distractions. So I feel it's much easier to accomplish what we think you should do, and we just give you the expectation that we have for you, and you just follow that.
Yeah. What would you have thought if I like wanted to be like an art major back then?
The way how we chose, expect you to do is more traditional,
Yeah.
and we're more conservative. We're not the risk takers. Okay, so we like to make sure at least you'll be, what do you say?
Secure,
Yeah, you'll be secured.
stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, at the time, remember when I applied to college, I asked what would you like to study for, and you said I didn't know. So what I think what I can do is like maybe you should go somewhere you're strong, you have stronger skills. Like you're always good at math, that type of things. You say you try something, study something more math related.
Yeah.
Will be easier for you to pick up, and maybe you'll enjoy it. But that doesn't work all the time. Sometimes there's something else you're more interested. So sometimes I regret I suggest you to study finance, but then in a sense I guess that's something you did. What do you say that word? It did work for you, but you were miserable. That was
Yeah.
the really sad part for me. I feel like I'm in part responsible for you being so miserable.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's interesting because I think about it now. I don't regret having done finance.
Okay.
I don't regret because it's not like I was miserable the entire time. Like, yes, I wasn't like peak happiness, but there were definitely a lot of that path where it was serving its purpose in my life, and it was like fine, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, yes, there were definitely pockets of misery in there. But I don't know. It's interesting because I've thought about this a lot, and I think it's something I talk to a lot of people about. It's like respecting your past. And to me, it's like I respect where I came from. I think that it gave me a lot of great building blocks to where I am right now. And I don't know, I just don't think it's like
It wasn't a waste of your time.
it wasn't a waste of my time. I don't think anything is really a waste of your time.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like the perspective that I've chosen to take with it. But yeah, I was saying this to someone the other day. There's this phrase that says like forgiveness is letting go of wanting a better past.
Oh.
And I really like that because I was like, oh, we can't change the past. The only thing we can do is forgive the past or forgive ourselves or that version of ourselves in the past or whatever. And it's like that gift of forgiveness is like relinquishing that idea that we can like change the past, which we can't.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to let it go,
Yeah.
really, and maybe consider what lesson you learned from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's funny because when I remember when I was in high school and we were having this conversation, I originally wanted to go into management. and I wanted it to like manage bands. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then you were like, no, maybe go to finance. That seems more secure. So it was like this little like nudge in this direction that ended up where I am now. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because I was thinking back, I'm like, yeah, there were definitely a lot of moments in the mix of finance that were not great. But I think I know that you and Daddy came from like good intentions. Because if you think about it, as we were talking about before, you came from an immigrant background. Your main focus is on us being able to create financial stability and job security and have that. So that's why you pushed us in that direction. It's not like you were doing it out of like wanting to harm us.
No.
So, yeah.
It's not for us. It's for you.
Right. So that's I think why I don't know, I've never held any kind of negativity towards you and Dad for having pushed me towards finance. I think it's like good information that I have.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of good information.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I've seen it. But okay, so now I'm curious, Mom, like, all right, when I was back in my job and I was super, super miserable, can we talk about like what, because you're talking about how hard it was seeing me be so miserable. And it made you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have pushed you towards finance.
Yeah.
But what do you feel like, how was it for you when I was miserable in that job? Like, what were you thinking about?
I was trying to figure out any way I can help you to not be that miserable with your job. Kind of trying to make you look at your job from a different perspective. Because everything you have to everything you do, every job, there's something you need to compromise. So maybe we can find an angle to make you think from a more positive way.
How did that go?
Well, it worked for a while. Then the pandemic came, and that just like make a big mess out of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about when I was really considering leaving, and you were kind of saying like you should go.
Yeah, because you sounded so miserable. It was like so painful. That was so painful.
Yeah.
All I can think of is, whatever you want to do, I just need to be here to give you the support you need.
Yeah. So what was your thoughts when I was like, hey, I'm not going back to finance?
Well, I was like, there'll be other things you can do.
Yeah.
It's not like, that's the only way you can make a living, which is not true. There are plenty of things you can do.
Do you feel like it was easier being able to support me because my brother has been more of the steady one of the two of us?
No, I don't look at it that way. Every kid, every person is different. Your kids are not the same. They have in each individual, traits. You cannot just say because one did this, the other needs to be the same. No, that's from my way. You want to explore other things, great, go out, put in effort to do it.
Do you feel like
I'll give you my blessing.
Do you feel like it would be harder though if we were both like this, like both like veering off course, or do you think it's a little easier because he's kind of like
Well,
followed the path?
I have to be frank. Yes, I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Because I know I don't have to worry about your brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't need to worry about you either. You're just on a different, direction. But it's not like you're on drug. You're like a addiction on something. That's a total different story. What you're doing is very legit. It's and you have a good purpose because you're trying to help people. Is there any other better, than this? No, I think that's really the really great purpose.
Yeah. When I was younger, I felt like it was really annoying because I felt like my brother, who is 8 years older than me, mind you, so it's like we were raised almost like
Single child.
single children, but I still had to kind of live up to his framework, and it felt like he set a really good framework, and I was struggling to like live up to it.
Well, but But I always saw you academically. I think you're better than your brother through high school.
Right, because he like failed one class. So I always felt like as long as I didn't fail one class, I was doing okay.
And you're on in all those AP classes too.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But you were too.
Yeah.
You're not less than him.
True. I know. I guess it's just because he went as far as getting his PhD
Yeah.
that it just felt like he was like the shining example.
We would not say we would never expect you to be a PhD too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's him. He wants it. It's not we didn't push him.
Yeah.
He felt like he need to.
Yeah.
So he did it. He put in effort to get his degree. But you're also putting your effort to do all the things you want to do. So I don't see any you're doing less. Seeing you as less than your brother. Definitely not.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying was it's funny because I think when I was younger, I was trying to achieve to the same level as him, if not exceed. And then I think over time, I started to be like, oh, we're just super different and our paths are super different. And then I learned to actually appreciate to this conversation and this point, I started to appreciate the fact that he had kind of he checked all the boxes. And I was like, oh, this is nice because you check the boxes so I don't have to. It's kind of how it felt at a certain
like you're
point.
the wild child.
Yeah, I can just like roam free because he's already doing all the right things that make you guys like happy and like satisfied and feeling like your kid has done like the good things. Does that make sense?
Well, I would not say happy because he did it for not for us, for him. He accomplished what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's true. Like I know it's just funny because I just feel like he and I are very different people.
Well, when you grow up, you're always different. Even when you're growing up, you're very different already. It's not just now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm curious. Like, what was I like as a child, and do you feel like it aligns to where I am now?
I never gave that a thought. Because you're always very, very good. You never, do things outside what we expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you you're more like artistic,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always drawing and painting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you like music, but then we had a hard time to get you to study piano.
I know, piano was not for me.
And we gave up, because you didn't show much interest, So it's no need to push for that, There are so many things, different things we can explore.
Yeah.
We don't need to fix on that one thing.
Yeah. I guess my brother's like his creativity was more through music.
Yes.
Because he was in marching bands and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so when I decided to leave finance behind and start doing all the things I'm doing now, what was like, because at one point it was like, I'm leaving finance. I feel like there were stages. It was like, I was leaving finance. And then there was the like, am I going to go back to finance? And then there was the, oh, I'm going all the way in a completely different direction. What do you feel like was your kind of reaction to that arc?
I was okay with it
Yeah.
because I knew you were trying to figure out what you want to do, and then you went back to get your certificate, everything, you really want to make it work. So I wasn't worried about you at all. I know you can make it happen.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's because of like everything? Because I guess I'd already been figuring everything out
Yes.
myself.
Yeah. It's like you know what you want, so that make it easier. You're not wondering.
I'm curious, Mom, because like you are, I would say, the less traditional parent.
You think so?
Yeah. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I'm just more open.
Well, like that to me makes you the less traditional.
Okay.
Why do you feel like you are like you're more open to us doing different things?
To me, I think my ultimate goal for you and your brother is that you're happy. To find that happiness is more important than have financial, like position, all the other things. So whatever way, and especially in this country, you don't have to fix on certain things. There's so many different ways you can do things. So I'm pretty comfortable to let you explore. And my role will be just be there to give you the support you need
Yeah.
to make it easier for you to get to what you want, what you're looking for.
Yeah. See, I feel like you are outside of the box than a lot of parents in that way, though.
Oh,
Don't you think so? Compared to like your friends and other people around us? No?
I don't feel that. I don't feel that particularly. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe there are other parents more traditional, more strict. They set more strict expectation for their kids. But
Yeah.
for me, once you graduate from high school, or let's say later from college, you are already being pretty much being set for how you everything. There's nothing I can change you already. You're already there. So the rest is up to you how you want to go. We already have the foundations, all those standards set for you.
Yeah.
So
Well, because that makes me think of, I feel like I've been the strong willed child who's just going to do the thing that I want to do, even whether or not you guys agree with it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I did go into finance because you guys nudged me that way. But I feel like there's been a lot of moments. Like, I think of when I went to study abroad, and you and Dad were like, what? But I was so determined to go. And then you guys just kind of had to follow suit.
I was okay with it actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was okay with it.
I think you're okay with it, but you're still like, why are you doing this?
Was I?
That was my memory of it.
I don't remember I did that. I was like, oh, you want to go? Okay. I was a worried because you'll be,
Far away.
far away. That was my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you were questioning.
But even when your brother was in college, I asked him if he wants to, interest you go study
Yeah.
abroad. He said himself, no. He didn't want to do it at all.
Right.
It just for you, it's just different. You want to do it.
Well, I guess that's why it seemed like confusing when I decided to go because he didn't never like even considered it.
Yeah, but I never feel like you shouldn't. Never have that
No?
feeling. No.
Interesting.
You didn't know that?
My memory was that you and Dad were like
Resisting?
resisting me going.
Not me. Maybe your dad. He's more traditional. Right? You know that.
I know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is, do you feel like well, I think you've always said this though, like, well, it's like dad, my brother, and I are all AB, and you guys, we're AB blood type, and you always said, like, once we decide we're going in the direction, you kind of can't stop us.
Right.
Is that true?
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we're very, like, strong-willed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you think about, like, when I decided to start the podcast and go into coaching, like, you felt good about it because you were like, oh, you could see how I was figuring it out and,
Right.
like, moving in that
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
Do you feel like it was easier because I was, like, talking to you through that whole time period?
I hope it did help.
I was thinking about it. I was, like, comparing how it was for you and dad. And, like, dad, it seemed like I was almost, like, dropping a bombshell on him.
Yes. Yeah.
And with you, it was more like we had been talking about it, and I, like, you knew how like
How hard
how
it would be.
miserable I was
Yep.
when I was in finance.
Yeah.
So I feel like, to what you were saying earlier, you wanted me to be happy more than you wanted me to follow the designated path.
There's no designated path, okay?
True.
It's
But
your
there
path.
was kind of like the like,
But the only things we were thinking, you were pretty much set when you start working in finance.
right.
And then you had to change, So, but nowadays, a lot of people change careers a couple times,
Yeah.
right? So it's not unusual. Not like the old days, you stay at a job.
Right.
You
Because
would just
I
stay.
think that's the other thing is has it been challenging kind of because my career has been very different than my brother's even because even when I was in finance, I was changing careers a lot, or I was changing jobs a lot. I was changing companies a lot. Like, my brother was just in one company for the last 15 years now.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, he only just recently changed companies.
Yes.
But I, meanwhile, had changed companies like four times just within finance before I left.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So my career had kind of changed, it, like, was very different from, like, yours and dad's. Like,
Yes.
you guys were, I mean, once you were in one company, you were there for 25, 30 years.
Yeah. We'll be just looking for opportunity within
the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't go out to other companies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that as, like, the generational gap.
Probably,
Where it's
yes.
like your generation, because you also had pensions and incredible health care and all of these incentives to kind of stay
Right.
where you were, which no longer really existed for my generation, which is why I was like, well, I can make more money if I change companies, and then I can do this and change, try this out. And I mean, it wasn't just money based, but it was like trying out different types of
Yes.
companies and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just a very different landscape, I guess, than when you were working.
Well, like I say, it's just different way. There's not just one way. There are many, many ways you can do things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the way you're doing it's different, but it's not like wrong.
Yeah. It's funny because you're making me think of my original podcast name, A Way of Thinking.
A way of thinking.
Where I was like, no, wrong way is right way. I was like, that was why I called it A Way of Thinking, not my way of thinking. But right? It's the idea where it's like, well, there's many paths.
Yes.
You just figure out the one that works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, which it's interesting, I, for a very long time, did not want to talk about this, but I actually have since found that I think it's really important to talk about this, is how you have actually helped me out, like, financially. And caveat is, I originally was using my savings, and because I had saved up a lot. and thankfully was able to support myself. There was a point where it became clear that in order to continue, there was a point where I realized that either I needed to get a job or go back to work in some capacity, or pull from my investments, or get some more, or do something else. It was like, I don't know how to move forward, and you decided to basically help me financially. And I and it's interesting because I will say that when you originally came to me with this idea, I, for a very long time, think I shamed myself for it, because I felt like it felt like a problem, and I felt like I was doing something wrong by leaning on you and being able to have you help me financially. Just seemed like I'm doing something wrong, because it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be a self-sufficient adult, like and so I made it into a big problem. And it's interesting because I think about that a lot, where I was like, I spent so much time just feeling so burdensome by the fact that I was getting any help from you. And it was when I finally let that go that I feel like I saw it for what it was, which was a gift, and something that, like, and being able to appreciate it instead of letting it drag me down, because I was stewing in so much like negative emotions about it. And I feel like that made it just like this like void almost, or this like negative vacuum. So I, it's like, I don't know, it's interesting because I've thought about it a lot, and it's like, I think, to me, if I needed to, I could have, there's so many ways to kind of, as I said, I could have pulled from my investments. I could have done all these other things. And, and the fact that you wanted to like chip in to like what I was doing was not in essence a bad thing. And I think of other people who it's like they have like husbands who are able to support them, or they have like, other people in their lives or whatever. And it's like, and I think that, and it's interesting, I've talked to other friends of mine who have had to lean on other people in their lives, and they have said like, oh, I felt such guilt around it. And it's like, but it's almost like we're unwilling to utilize the gifts that we are given in this life and be able to appreciate them, and instead we turn them into a problem. So I guess I wanted to share that from my perspective, but I was curious like what your thoughts were in terms of helping me out financially while I was like building up the business and everything.
Well, if you go get a job, that's going to cut back on your time. You can build your business, which is a drawback. And as a support to you, for me, very fortunately, I can, give you some financial support. But then you still have to do the job. So that's fundamentally like saying, I still want to support you. And I also kiddingly say to you, it's my investment, right? So I'm still waiting for my return.
That's right.
But you get there. I know you'll get there.
Why do you feel like for Why do you feel like for some people it's like hard to support their kids and what they're doing?
To support the kid.
Yeah.
Hard to support the kid
Yeah.
because they don't have confidence in the kid. And I trust you. I know you have the ability. If you don't have confidence, you're going to doubt what they're doing. They're going to, the person going to waste whatever you want to give them. It's just like a shortcut. It's not. It's just like a, what do you call, a patch up. It's not going to work.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if you want to, say, oh, I'm obligated to do this, then your mindset is not right to begin with.
What is your thoughts on like what I was just sharing about how guilty I felt about getting financial help from you?
I feel that's a normal way you would think. Everybody, most decent people would think, It's just not like I'm entitled to this. Okay, there are people out there. They feel they're entitled to everything.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you didn't feel that way, and you turn around not thinking that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make use of it. Make it work for you. That's whole purpose of.
Do you feel, because oftentimes I've thought about it like I am trying to fulfill purpose of your sacrifice, of all the hard work that like you and dad put into immigrating and all of that.
Right. Well, we never expect. We don't want that become part of our expectation of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you fail, it's fine. As long as you put in all your efforts, you do the best you could. If that happens, it's fine. It's just no problem there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll still be here for you.
I feel like that's what made it really hard originally to leave finance was an expectation I put on myself, not that you put on me, I don't even think, right, of wanting to be the good kid and like to be having this successful career. And I guess that's the thing is this is what's been sitting with me a lot of the time is this idea of like wanting to make your parents proud of you.
I am proud of you.
Thanks, Mama. But I feel like I think it's like my perception at that time was that the only way for you to be proud of me was by being in finance.
Well, actually, to be proud of you is not important. To be happy for you. I think that's more important. Proud is a little bit like I'm showing off.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for you.
I guess that's the thing is like there's this perception of like, oh, parents love to be able to brag about their kids
Right.
to like your aunts and uncles or like your aunts.
You know what? As you get older, that becomes less and less important. You
But
don't
did
need
you
to
feel
show
like at
off.
one point you did like that?
Maybe when I was really young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, as you get older, those are not the important things. The important thing is to find yourself.
Yeah. So it's less about being like, here is my son, the doctor.
Yeah. No.
Which you didn't have, but
No.
you know what
You
I
don't
mean.
even mention that at all. Here's my son.
Yeah.
Period.
But do you feel like that? But as you said, that's come with age.
Yes. Because when you go through that life, you learn so many things. And you gradually you realize what's really important, what is not necessary. Yeah.
Interesting. There's this thing in our family where I just feel like my aunts and uncles have no idea what I do at this point. And sometimes you told me how they like have this like very like strange impression of what I'm doing. I don't care, but what is your impression of all that?
I don't care. I don't care, really, yeah. Everyone has his own, perspective for life, so.
Yeah, because at one point they thought that I was just like doing nothing.
Doing nothing, wondering.
Yeah. I mean, and I know you know that that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over here working harder than I've probably ever worked in my life.
Well, they never really come and ask what you're doing.
Right.
If they did, we can explain to them. We can tell them,
Yeah.
So what I can I can't help them, you know. I'm not like a broadcaster. I have to go on and tell everyone, hey, is my Jessica doing this, you know.
That's true. Well, okay, so along those lines, Mom, I've always had this impression like our relationship is that you always provide me whatever it is that I need in life. And this is not like talking about money. It's like, and it's interesting because I heard this recently, this idea where it was like your parent's ceiling is the child's floor.
True.
It's like I
Very
build
true.
off of like where the foundation in essence that you built, which by the way, thank you, you've built a great foundation. And you know, we were earlier talking about the American dream. Like I do consider you and Dad to have like fulfilled that American dream in like the traditional way, which is interesting. And it's funny because like that's what my impression has always been is like, you know, you give me the book I somehow need to be reading. Like just recently you did that, right? That feel good productivity book you gave me. I was like, this is exactly the book I needed. You know, it's like you were the one that brought me into yoga, even though it took me time to really become to the level that like to really be into it in the way that I am now. Like you were the one that originally got me into yoga.
Yeah, because from my own, you know, practice of yoga, I know how good it is for your mentally and physically, and wish you will have that too. And for me, I started much later, you know, found yoga later, and I say, you know, if you could start earlier, it would be even more beneficial for you. However, I can't push you into it. I have to lure you into it slowly. And look what you became now. You're already, you know. I guess I was success. I made it. I made it happen.
Do you feel like as a parent, it's like you're kind of like nudging, like giving me all these seeds and just seeing
Oh
what's
yeah,
gonna
you always
grow?
give you all kind of offer all kind of opportunities, things, you know, you can try out. You find what you like.
Yeah,
You provide for that, you know, environment,
yeah,
so you can explore, you know, and find what you what you what you like, what you need, you know.
yeah. Actually, you know, one of the things that I think is one of the best things that you gave me is like your playful attitude towards everything.
I do have that.
Yeah. Because when I was growing up, A, you always told me never to grow up too fast.
Yes.
And B, I just feel like you always were like a little, you fostered this feeling of being like a little kid and being like silly and playful and like, you know, and it's funny because I think Dharma does the same thing,
Yeah.
but I think you started that for me.
So that was being the way is like a remind kind of for you. It's easier to
Yeah, it
relate to.
reminds me a lot of like what you taught me. Do you feel like you taught me that? You're almost like, oh, really?
Not intentionally. I can just give you what I think is the right way, you know, the way how I look at things.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my angle.
How do you feel like it is though when I don't do what you say? Like go against your guidance?
Well, you need to experience though. There's nothing I can do. Like I say, if not you're not on any kind of addictions, it's okay. You're not doing anything will endanger your life or anything. Go explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are lots of things out there I don't even know. I don't understand. And now you have the opportunity when you're young. Go do it. For me, I I'm pretty much settled.
Yeah, you're kind of you're trying to enjoy your retirement
Yes,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So whatever, all kinds of, you know, competition, anything like that, for me, doesn't mean anything. It's more like a being with peace, with everything, with yourself.
Yeah. What is kind of your current Like if you were to imagine where my trajectory goes now, like what do you want for me?
I don't want anything from you. I just want you to be happy.
No, for me.
For you?
Not from me, for me.
What do you mean by for you?
Yeah, like what would be your vision of where all of this takes me?
Make you happy.
Do you feel like it's made me happy just being on the journey?
I think you are enjoying it.
Yeah.
Especially, you, of course, sometimes you stumble a little bit. But then even those tumbling, they make you grow. You learn from all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm curious, like from your perspective, like how have you perceived like who I am or how I show up in life from when I was in finance versus now, like since I left that behind?
Oh, when you're finance, you're always you're much bitter. Now you're like a more like you will like find a way to turn it to change things, how to handle things.
I didn't realize the word was bitter
You were towards the very end. You were very bitter.
towards my job.
Yeah.
But do you feel like I was that way throughout the time I was in finance?
No, at the beginning because you were just exploring, but towards the very end, you were like, you're like, oh, I can't continue this.
Yeah.
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 So that was like, oh, it was so hard to to watch that happen to you. You need a change. You definitely need a change. I could see it.
I guess that's the thing is like I don't think that's who I naturally am as a bitter person. But that experience made me very bitter.
Yeah, towards yourself, not towards others.
What do you mean? Like I was upset with myself?
Yeah. You everything you try to do, you're looking at the, more negative ways.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't know. It's like I feel like I was kind of like a shell of a person through that time period. Cuz I was just so I was so burned out. Like I
Yeah.
just couldn't function
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Like you noticed how hard I was on myself.
And that those time was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even see you. Luckily, we have, FaceTime, we don't need to be, seeing you at your face to face.
Yeah.
So we survived.
That we did. That we did. Yeah. So how do you
So that
feel?
means, when those times money doesn't mean anything. Money is not the important thing. It's how you feel inside. That's critical.
Yeah. I mean, my health was also taking a toll.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had that rash.
Yeah.
Couldn't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Was not doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then compared to that, even with the stumbling blocks over the last 3 years, you feel like it's just like
You're much stronger.
trying to live up to your resilience nature, Mom.
Oh, thank you. I hope I set good enough of a standard for you. Life's too precious. Just, well, you're always in pick and choose. Everything you do is a choice. Just, make sure you think correctly. Make the right choice.
I want to ask you this. If you had any advice of what you would want to share to a parent that's having a hard time like supporting their child.
Well, when you say supporting, you're talking about financially or
No,
emotionally? I always think you should always, if it's your child and you love your child, you should give them support. That is like what, as a parent, that's your, what's the word? Your mission, almost like your mission.
Your purpose.
Your purpose. Yeah. For your, you always love your child. So you always want to help them out in whatever way you can.
Yeah. And then on the other side of that, what would be your advice to someone who is like the kid and is afraid of like telling their parents what they're looking to do or anything along those lines, or like veering off the beaten path?
As long as you have think everything over and you already knew what's better for you, you should always try it. Be brave. Be courageous, because when you're young, you can afford it.
How would you describe your current relationship with yourself?
Well, much better. I think I'm like accepting everything and trying to find all the joys around me and appreciate.
Actually, off of that, I'm curious, like, because I know you actually listen to most of this podcast.
Yes.
And most of my Instagram and everything. Like,
And
what
I hit
is...
the heart.
Thank you, Mom. What has been your, like, thoughts on the podcast and everything I create?
I think you're doing a wonderful job. You're a great interviewer. And you ask really good questions.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. I say, oh, this girl has a talent here.
Not what you were expecting, huh?
No, yeah, I was surprised when I first listened to.
What's a piece of advice you wish you'd received as a young adult?
Be different to others. I'm always following like whatever is like you're supposed to do. Give more thoughts into what I want to do.
Do you feel like I'm like living out that for you?
No, you're living out for yourself. I don't want you to live out for me. That doesn't work for anyone.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it, Mom. What's your proudest moment as a parent?
When you're happy.
If you could describe me in one word, what would it be?
My precious baby.
That's a lot of words. You only allowed one word.
One word? One word? Can you give me some suggestions?
I mean, you can just use the word precious.
Oh, precious, yeah.
Okay. It's hilarious because all I think of is Lord of the Rings and Smeagol.
The what?
The ring is his precious.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law always says that. And I always think of that. Of Gollum / Smeagol going, my precious.
Yes. With those big eyes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm the precious. What's one thing you've learned from me?
I need to be more patient.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Mind you, these come from ChatGPT. If you could pursue an unconventional dream now, what would it be?
You know, I always want to be a pianist.
Pianist?
Yeah, pianist, yeah. But I failed. And that was my dream when I was in high school.
You have the piano downstairs, though.
Yeah, but I haven't really played with them, so I need to get back to that. Now I'm only shooting for to be able to play, nice pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you went all the way back, you would have pursued more of being a pianist?
Not exactly, because I don't think I have that much talent. But at one point, I thought I could do it.
Interesting. Is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't covered off on?
Continuously pursuing your dream.
Are you saying that for me or for everyone?
For you and for everyone. That's the most important thing in this world.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mommy. Thank you for coming on my podcast, for supporting me all along the way. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming home.
Happy to be home. All right, give me a hug.
My precious. All right.
Okay, well, thank you for listening or watching this episode of Permission to Flow, and I'll see you in the next one. You want to say bye?
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Permission to Flow. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more about working with me, then go to my website, jessicahwangcoaching.com. Link is below. And remember, the world needs what you will create.